Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Today we're going to take a look at the Ollo S4R, a studio headphone that is perfect for recording, preliminary mixing, producing, and field recording, according to Ollo Audio. A quick disclaimer, I am not a professional studio artist. I am not a professional studio engineer, studio mixer, editor, sound engineer, anything of the sort, anything with the name professional in it. I am not it. I am just a hobbyist and somebody who runs the soundboard at his local church on Sundays. We use a Allen & Heath QU24 at my church, so I am very familiar using EQ, sliders, buttons, knobs, all that kind of stuff. I kind of push them around, make the sound come out, go through on the live stream on the internet. And as long as it sounds good, I've done my job. So I do have a little bit of experience in that, but I am not a professional. If you are looking for a professional impression of the Ollo S4R, I highly recommend that you look for one of the other reviews. This is just random thoughts from a hobbyist, DBS, the Honest Audiophile. All right, so the Ollo Audio S4R was sent over by Ollo Audio all the way from Slovenia. Do greatly appreciate it. Ollo Audio, you rock. Comes in this standard box, shows up on your porch just like this. So if anybody was looking for an Ollo Audio S4R studio headphone, they would know where to look. And that was on my front porch. You open it up, you get a little bit of a sticker with some branding on it that says, "You can't listen to music in space, save the planet." You get some paperwork that comes in an envelope. We will take a look at that. And you remove the paper. And there you go. There's your headphones. Inside this little case is a carrying bag that I did not use. And then you have a cable. Cable is very nice. It's all rubber. Has a 1/4 inch adapter that screws on and goes to a 3.5. Does not tangle up or loop around. It is a very nice cable. Has left and right branding, 2.5 millimeter inputs. It's a nice cable. I enjoy this cable a lot. More about that in a minute. And then you get your headphones. All right, the paperwork. You just open up your little envelope. Get some need to know information. You get a certificate of authenticity. You get a owner's manual. And then you get a frequency response. The headphones. All metal headband, wood cups, metal sides cups. They're about 55 millimeter internal inside the cups, 90 millimeters on the outside. They're built just like the S4X, very similar. These do weigh a little bit more. These are 382 grams. The S4X was 350. And you really don't notice the weight too much. They're still just as comfortable as the S4X. The ear pads are the only thing that is kind of annoying. They're a little bit on the small side. They're like a large on-ear or a small over-ear. For my ears, they barely fit. So if you have larger sized ears, these probably will not fit properly over your ear. Overall, I find that the comfort of them is fine. The design of the headphone is okay, but it does have that one problem that the S4X has, which is if you tap anywhere in metal or in the wood, you're going to hear it inside the cups. It resonates in there and reverbs, and I wish that Ollo could figure out a way to do some dampening. I don't know if it's maybe put a little rubber O-ring somewhere in here so that the headband doesn't touch and move around. I'm not exactly sure what they need to do, but something to remove that echoey sound. All right, the cable, as I mentioned earlier, is very nice. Ollo has angled the inputs So if you take your left cup and your right and you put them on, it just kind of removes it from hanging on your shoulders and just angles this a little forward, and it just sits very nicely. One other thing, the cable, you can hear it. If you move your fingers on the cable, you can hear it inside the cups. All right, flip your headphones around and change your cable input the opposite way. Run it behind your head, and your cables just disappear behind you. So if you need to use them in a setting in which your wire runs behind you, it works that way as well. Overall, I find that it's a very nicely built headphone. It is a pretty looking headphone. I just wish that that resonance reverb problem could be resolved. How do they sound? Well, actually, let's give you some specs first. Spec wise, they have a frequency response of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, 111 decibels of sensitivity, 32 ohms of impedance. So they're very easy to drive. They do run off of phones and DAPs. I had no problems whatsoever running them off of a portable device. Do recommend you use them on an amplifier though, as they do seem to benefit from an amplifier. But they do run off of portables. The outer diameter is 90 millimeters, the inner diameter is 55, and the depth is 20 millimeters. So they are pretty decent sized cups today. As I said, they're just a little bit small. How do they sound? I find that the Ollo S4R bass is extended nicely. You have some decent sub-bass rumble when called upon, and it has good impact and nice body throughout the bass. The sub-bass is a little bit on the rolled off side. It does respond to EQ if you need to pull it up just a little bit, but for the most part, it is a very pleasing bass, and it has a good tonality and a very nice balanced approach to the bass. Mid bass and upper bass is slightly above sub bass, but it's not to the point where it's muddying things up or overpowering. Find that the bass plays very well and is very accurate as far as what is being presented. Mids are a little uneven. They're not quite as cohesive as I would like. The lower mids are a little bit more full, and the upper mids are a little more lean, and so it kind of throws vocals off. Baritones and basses will have a little bit more girth to their sound, a little bit more of a full body, whereas tenors and sopranos, altos will be a little bit leaner and a little bit thinner sounding. As far as overall balance, they're there. It's just the body to it, and the overall tonality is a little bit thicker on one end and thinner on the other. Also messes with instruments to a bit. Pianos, guitars, things like that will sound a little uneven. Lower half octave notes will sound a little more full and a little bit more robust. Upper octave notes will sound a little bit more thin and a little bit more metallic. Overall, the presentation is nice and lush, and it presented well, has good details and clarity, but it does have that thicker, thinner presentation. Treble wise is extended well, has good details. It never goes into fatigue mode. It's very well controlled. It doesn't have sibilance or sharpness to it. Has a good amount of resolution, and it has a nice smoothness to it. The lower treble is more accentuated than the upper treble. You do have nice airiness to it, but it has a slight metallic tone in as well, just like the mids do. Soundstage wise is very much a closed back. It's not very wide, but it's also not intimate and forced upon you, so you don't get that claustrophobic feeling, but you don't have a really open sound. And depth and layering is adequate. Imaging is very good. You can track things very well. You're not going to hunt and peck to see what things are on the stage when you're needing to. You're going to be able to just say, okay, that's left side, that's right side, and you're going to be able to place it very well. Depth and layering is not quite as good. It does muddle up a little bit on busier tracks. Excuse me. the Ollo Audio S4R. I like it, except for one thing, and that is it does a lot of reverb and a lot of resonance inside the cups. And it happens during live recordings. It happens during live performances. So I was using the Ollo S4R at church, and I had them on my head, and I heard a reverby, kind of glary, sheeny sound. I took them off, and I didn't hear it. I put them back on, and I heard it. So I asked my fellow coworker in the sound booth if he heard it. He put it on, and he heard it as well. And to me, that doesn't portray the naturalism and the accuracy of the performance. And when I'm using headphones to monitor or to record, I want to hear exactly what is coming out to the audience. And so I want to be able to just have them on my head and know that what I'm hearing inside here is what everybody seated is hearing. And that wasn't the case. Everything sounds like it's in a big, huge music hall that is empty. It didn't sound full. It sounded, it had a sheeny, glary, reverby sound, and it did it on every single thing. It didn't matter if it was coming out of the Allen & Heath QU24 or if it was coming out of the Mytek Liberty or the Solcris DAC 1421, the Gishelli Labs JNOG, Topping A90, the Burson Audio Playmate 2. It didn't matter. I always had that reverby resonance. I'm in a big, huge, empty music hall, no matter what the song, no matter what the performance was. And for me, that's not accurate and that's not true. And I couldn't use them for recording because I was constantly going, is it there? Is it not there? And I wanted to tweak everything on the board, but when I was taking them off, I was like, no, I don't need to tweak anything. It sounds proper. And so I like the S4R. I recommend it for playback, but I don't recommend it for mixing, producing, or recording. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen is a subscription link and notification bell. If you haven't already, please check those off. Check out the links down below for all the information regarding gear that was used, music playlists that were used, and all kinds of other things that are associated. Check out those links down below. And then also don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, actually, one thing I forgot to mention, let's get back to this real quick, is some other headphones that I did use and I did compare. And that is, I used the AKG K275s with my Allen & Heath QU24 on a regular basis. And I find that they are more accurate and true to the overall sound and performance that is coming out. And I am able to have them on my head and know in confidence that I am hearing what everybody else is hearing and that my board is doing its job properly. Also, the Sony CD900 STs are also very accurate and true, especially when you replace the pads with the Yaxi pads. I find that they are very similar to the AKG K275s. They are a little bit more bassy and a little bit more warm sounding, but they are, again, presenting how everything is coming across in what I am producing or what I am presenting in the live stream, or also for my church, for the people that are sitting there listening to the service. And then during playback, the Ether C by Mr. Speakers is more accurate and true, and it does a better job of presenting reverb when it is called upon in the recording, when it is actually present in there, and it's not falsely adding it in and enhancing and boosting the upper mids and lower treble to give more details and clarity. It is actually doing it properly and naturally and accurately. So the Ollo S4R, as I said, I recommend it for playback, but I don't recommend it for recording, mixing, producing. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.